Greetings. Thank you for checking out my brief presentation on Saul Bass, a legendary graphic designer / filmmaker. Extraordinary indeed, Saul Bass was a master at simplicity. First, a small story. This movie poster scared me. Yes, it did. I was going to see a movie at a friend's house, and their basement was where their TV was located. As I walked down the stairs, the lights turned on, and this dramatic image presented itself. Like a moth to the flame, Saul Bass's historic movie poster for Stanley Kubrick's film, The Shining, caught my eye. This was an image I had never seen before. What was this movie? What is happening? Who is this person? The yellow sparked many images in my head as I sat down to watch the movie from this poster. Little did I know at the time that I would one day talking about the artist that created this poster. Who was this genius creator? Saul Bass was born in Brooklyn and was a student of graphic design. A modernist in many ways, his designs were simplistic but effective uses of imagery. Created some iconic logos, such as the Kleenex, Girl Scouts, and even the AT&T logo. And it would be his move to California that would change his role and that of Hollywood in legendary fashion. Like a building block towards the future, Saul Bass was on the forefront of movie poster design. It could be said that everything at this time period, the 1950s, was oversaturated work. Tons of ideas and images thrown together to create an overwhelming visual mess. They also typically lack some insight into the movie's narrative, which is something Bass would explore throughout his career. His first real poster success was with Otto Preminger. The Carmen Jones poster was a sharp change to the norm. Saul Bass took the chance to harness his modernistic approach cinematically. The poster used only black and white as the primary colors, sharp difference from the other posters, and highlighted the dress and lips of the star in bright red. The figure also stood directly in the middle, and a serif-style font was broken up between the image. The pose of the character also indicated the overall topic of the film, giving a better sense of the narrative versus other posters at the time. This narrative building through graphic design principles would follow Saul Bass throughout his career. With his genius approach, Saul Bass worked on many great film posters. Anatomy of a Murder, Vertigo, and The Man with the Golden Arm all represented the simplistic modernistic ideals Bass sought after. Using legible typefaces, activating negative spaces, and simple color palettes made each poster a visual masterpiece at the time. However, it was not until some discussion with Otto Preminger that the thought could be, why not make it move? The title sequence is where Saul Bass truly took the world by storm. And master at utilizing the graphic design principles he aesthetically loved, he will alter the world of movie making. Hollywood was stuck in the bland formula that had been the same for many years. It usually was static shots of hand-drawn title cards with credits and copyright information. They were also non-narrative based shots that seemed more of a requirement than a part of the story. Saul Bass even described the title sequence as useful popcorn time. Of course, this would change with Saul Bass at the helm. The core idea was to take the small chunk before the film actually begins and turn it into a setup for the upcoming film by exploiting narrative elements, while doing this as simple as possible, of course, using the art created for the poster, making those elements move, and giving insight into the plot was one of the first ways Bass used his process towards title sequences. In the artwork for The Man with the Golden Arm, Bass used the modernistic elements of exploiting negative and positive space and revealed the crooked arm with animation. Since the movie was about drug addiction, the crooked arm set in white amongst a strong black background gives insight into the narrative. This simplistic approach would be carried through many of his title sequences throughout the 50s and so on. For Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho, Saul Bass' use of simple colors, black, white, and gray, and shapes help illustrate the narrative with sharp animation. This uneasy perspective even built on the narrative that the story would be a complex roller coaster. In Hitchcock's North by Northwest, Bass used primary colors to set the visual shift. Messing with the visual plane, the text appears to be scaling a wall from an angle versus the typical 2D perspective. Mr. Bass also used a design from the real world in the simplest form. Towards the end, he shifted to the real image of the skyscraper that he was referencing. Using modernism ideals to reveal realism in a matter of minutes was just one of the many ways Bass could articulate his graphic design vision in the film industry. Even after many years of creating, legendary director Martin Scorsese sought the team of Saul and Elaine, his wife and frequent collaborator, Bass, to work on his film GOODFELLAS. Using their insight into simplicity, the opening text resembles cars passing by. This gives a slight insight into location of the movie. There is no music in the opening, and the color choices are black, white, and gray to represent the passing of each car. A brief scene where a character is killed and the main character states they want to be a gangster, Italian-style big band number plays, and a black title card with GOODFELLAS in bright red font is revealed. Simplistic story-driven design that serves both the need to give credit and connect the audience with the story as soon as the film begins. Considering the level at which Saul Bass transformed the world of filmmaking, his roots in graphic design were the blueprint in the creative process that would turn him into a monumental force for change in Hollywood. Practically inventing the plot-driven opening for a movie, the influence of his work is seen everywhere. From hit TV shows like Mad Men, almost a direct comparison to the legend himself, to movies like James Bond, it's not difficult to see how much Saul Bass has changed the world. Perhaps it is less that he was a graphic designer and more a cinematographer who could design. I just know as a young kid, his work on the Shining movie poster is still something that invites a curiosity in design for me every day. I just want to say thank you again, and I hope you have a great day and stay safe. Take care.